and you use scented candle, or you decide that, or maybe there's like a like flood. I know that sometimes those things happen abroad, that you would then say you have scented candles or some candles at home, and you use that as a secondary form of power. So here is saying that scented candle is not just a source of light. They create ambience, elevates the mood, and enhance home decor. You see, during Valentine time, that's our hot season. Christmas time is also a hot season because it elevates the mood. Someone would have certain candles, and then when they light it, the scent kind of like gives them either a calm feeling, or it just makes them happy. There's a certain scent that I have when I was very young. It's a mix of some like like all these orange scents with mango scents. I really grew up where they used to have those particular scents. So when I light a candle that is either mango scented, um, lemongrass scented, lemon scented, all those, or even orange scented, it kind of like reminds me of my childhood. So you see that that scent also makes us remember fun times, makes us, think about yesteryears that, either in our childhood. So it's not just for light, it also creates a mood, an ambience, and also home decor. So you see that there are some scented candles that are crafted in a way that look very, very nice, very sculptural. They are called sculptural candles. So those ones, sometimes people don't light them. They just keep them there. So sometimes such candles are not scented. They just keep them there to, make the house look nice. Sometimes they are scented. So they are cold throw. We'll talk about cold throw in a moment. Their cold throw is what will now, you know, mix in the house alongside maybe diffuser and room sprays. So let's move. This course is designed to equip you with skills to make high quality scented candles, whether for personal use or part of a business venture. What are scented candles? Scented candles are a combination of wax, fragrance, color, wax, fragrance, wick, and color. So wax, fragrance, wick, and color. Because the wick is what you use to burn the wax so that the fragrance can come out. And we have different types of wicks, but we'll get there soon. So uses of scented candles, they are used for relaxation, aromatherapy, and decoration. I've spoken about that. Benefits of scented candles: providing calming and therapeutic effects, enhance home ambience, serve as thoughtful gifts. Origin of scented candles. So candles have a rich origin, from the ancient Egypt to, where in ancient Egypt they used animal fat. In the Middle Ages they used bee wax, and then the modern era they use paraffin wax, and then in the 20th century it was then used as a luxury home product. And then from there, improvements have been made on the type of wax that is used, the best wax to burn. All those things are improving as we grow in this industry. There are different discoveries. We've heard now that paraffin wax burns well, but there are some fake paraffin wax out there. So because you may not know the correct paraffin wax, it is advised for you to use soy, beeswax, coconut wax, parasoy, and all those kind of wax, not paraffin. I will say here that I don't believe that paraffin is bad. It's just that the certain type of paraffin that you use, because this particular those big brands use paraffin wax and they sell out. So the question is, yes, they might be into commerce where they don't care what happens to the lives of people that they are selling to. But I also believe that they know that the kind of paraffin that they are using would not hurt you long term rather. But for everyone to be safe, it is best to use the aforementioned waxes that I listed. So types of wax, like I've said, paraffin wax is affordable and widely available, holds fragrance and color well, burns faster compared to other wax. So you see that paraffin is looking very beautiful, but you close your eye and open it, 10 minutes it has finished burning. What happened? The candle was big. Why? So soy wax is derived from soybeans, is eco-friendly, produces a cleaner, longer burn, ideal for beginners due to its ease of use. But they forget to write here that paraffin is cheaper than soy. You know, here in Nigeria, although all of we are coming from mixed areas where we are not mainly in Africa. We can be in Europe, the Middle East, all those places. Soy wax is a lot cheaper in those areas. But here in Nigeria, in an extension, Africa, soy wax is more expensive. So, and that's what I use in my organization. So it's more expensive, but has a cleaner bond. So I believe that the advantages of it is better than making profit. It's better for me to say that I'm selling something at a higher cost and know that I'm giving my customer the best than trying to sell at a cheaper cost and know that if my customer doesn't use this thing well, it will cause them harm. So we have beeswax. These are natural and sustainable. It emits a mild honey scent and burns cleanly. For beeswax, I noticed that some people put fragrance in beeswax. I don't think beeswax put should have fragrance in it. But I realized that what they send to us here in Nigeria is either white or yellow. But when you burn it, it doesn't have any scent. So it could also be, the way they rate us here in Africa, where they have removed all the benefits that the bee wax would probably have, and then just send the chaff to us. I do not have, I do not claim any of those information, but that's the impression that I have because of um, the way the ingredients, the way the product looks when is used. Beeswax is naturally higher because it's derived from bees. I know that bees does honey, and it's from their wax after they have extracted the honey, and also from their honeycomb is when they now see the wax. But it is not as much as soy wax. So that's why it's more expensive because it's harder to get. Then coconut wax. Coconut wax is luxurious and sustainable, provides a slow, even burn, excellent for high-end candles. Then palm wax. Palm wax is known for its crystallized finish, eco-friendliness, depends on sourcing practices. So I have not seen palm wax here in um, Nigeria, but I've seen pictures and I've seen people that use only palm wax or use only beeswax for their own production. Other wax and their texture can be seen in the image below. So we have um, snowflake, we have jelly wax, and we call that gel wax. Gel wax is like jelly. Um, I have a picture. Let me see. Was there a picture here? No, there's no picture here. But I have that. I can put a picture or I send a picture to Pastor Sam for him to show it to you. But that's fine. Since our class has already started, there's no need for me to disrupt the class. Just know that there are other types of wax apart from the ones that I've listed here. So we have soy, pillar wax. So apart from soy, we also have hard soy. They call that one pillar wax. That one is a mixture of paraffin and soy wax, which is parasoy. But the marketers will not tell you that it's parasoy because you know already they have bashed paraffin. They have told you that paraffin is not good. But when it's supposed to, you're using it, there are some candles you cannot use soy wax for. So they mix it. So in the scale of production, you have 30% paraffin and 70% soy wax. That way it is harder and you can use it for your sculptural candles. Sometimes some people will mix it themselves, but it's better to buy from the manufacturers because some manufacturers will do 10% paraffin because you know paraffin is hard and it's solid. 10% of paraffin and 90% of soy, or maybe 15% thereabout, depending on how they mix it. But when you want to mix it yourself, it doesn't ever turn out right. I've tried it. That's why I can tell you that it doesn't always come out right. The burn time is always too fast. That means that the paraffin that I put in is a lot more than what they use in the hard soil. So it's better to just buy straight from them. How to select wax? You have to know the purpose of the wax. So like I was explaining that soy wax, you cannot use it for sculptural. You can only use hard wax, which is hard wax, which is hard soil for sculptural. Although you can also use hard wax for your container candles, but you cannot use soil for your container candles. It's going to melt. It will be soft like soap that is soaked inside water, and it's not going to be nice. Availability. For example, now I cannot go and say that I want to buy palm wax. They don't have palm wax in Nigeria here. So I'll have to use what I have available in my vicinity. But if you're watching from, out of Nigeria, there's a tendency that you have access to those. I know that countries like Canada and the UK are very heavy on their use of candle. So definitely you see a lot of it. Australia too is also a big market for candles. So you see a variety of different candles. In fact, Asia also have fantastic candles and they have produced different types of mixtures that you can put into your candles that will give it different shapes. Like currently, we want to start bringing out a line of birthday candles. And while I was doing my research, I realized that the kind of wax, please excuse me, like I was saying, the kind of wax that they use to produce those kind of candles are not found here. So I had to do my research to know what will work, what can I do, because it's very nice. I've seen some Nigerians try it, but I've seen that they have not been able to get the right consistency that those Asian candle makers do. So even before you go into this, there's a lot of research that needs to be done in candle, what works for you. Like for example, our temperature, or should I say our climate is very hot over here. In fact, Nigeria is as if we are a lot closer to the sun than normal. If you are creating a candle, you cannot have um, the candles, or you cannot just leave your candle anywhere, or you cannot leave your wax anywhere. You need to create it in a cool environment. Either you put fan or you wait till evening, because the way candle cures in a hot environment is totally different from way candle cures in a cold environment. Because your candle needs a stable temperature. That's why some people you see them with humidifier so that they can either suck in the cold or the wetness in the atmosphere, so it's not so damp. So that's all the things that you need to think about when selecting wax. So selecting, okay, and also compatibility. You have to ensure that your wax works with your fragrance oil and wicks. That's why I talk about testing. Some fragrance oils are fantastic by with using them for diffusers. When you use it for diffusers, you smell so nice. When you use them for room sprays, they are fantastic. Put them in candle now. The only time you smell it is when the candle has finished burning. It doesn't make sense. So that's why testing is very important, because you cannot really know what works for you, what works for this the supplier, the fragrance that your supplier has given to you. So that's why I usually have different suppliers. And let me give an example. There's a time that the clients, I told you that I have some clients that are rush. A client came and said, oh, that he wanted to get diffusers. And I said, okay, when do you need? Do you need like a week or so? He said, no, that he needs it like tomorrow. I had that particular scent in one bottle, but he said he wanted two. I said, okay, I will do this for you and then send it to you. He said, okay, that's fine. I got home, I realized that my supply had gone down. I reached out to one particular vendor. I said, please, I need this um, fragrance. He sent it to me. As I was putting it in the mixture, the fragrance was up. The fragrance was up. The other solution was down there. So that means they separated. And I was like, why is this thing happening like this? I was very frustrated. I said, maybe I'm the one that made mistake because I'm rushing. I used different methods of mixing, because for diffusers, you have different methods. Just the same way with soap, you have different methods. I tried all the methods that I knew, because I know all the methods, but I'll use one because one is a lot easier. Everybody has strengths in a particular thing. So I said, okay, let me use all the other knowledge that I have. Oh, lo and behold, the thing was still separate. I was so frustrated. Then I now said, okay, it's better for me to have a good name than to make profits. So I went ahead and bought from a different supplier. This particular supplier is more expensive. Delivery charge was like times two of what I bought from that person. I said, no wahala. It's better for the person, the client, to be happy than for me to make profits. This one is just a learning curve. Do you understand? Immediately I put class. Immediately I put this thing in the solution. They just binded. I didn't need to use 4 steps, 3 steps. I didn't need to pray and fast. Nothing. It just mixed. So how would I have known if I only had one supplier, or if I did not try other people? Do you understand? I would have been giving substandard products to my clients, or I would have needed to refund. And if I refund, will I refund plus the money that I used to buy the other diffuser? And the person will say, this person refunded my money, means that they don't have good diffuser. I will not buy from them again. Do you understand? So it's better to make your clients happy, so that they can come back and be able to have good reports. So that was what happened. So this is me explaining compatibility. So that particular fragrance did not work for the diffuser, but I realized that it worked for the room spray. I wouldn't have known if I had not tried the two fragrance type. Does that mean that the fragrances were not good? No. It just means that everybody has a different way of how they produce their things. The same way I do my soap might not be the same way the other person does their soap. Remember, I was telling you about how some people will do their soap and the soap will divide. My own soap has never divided. I've never had that issue with my soap, where I will see one side thicker and the other side light. It has never happened, but I see it with people that give soap. I went to a party, they gave us soap. I brought it back. I did not use, because I have soap in my house now. So I did not use it till this year. I went to the party in December. By January this year, when I brought it, it was divided. But my soap, you leave it from now, whether bath soap or kitchen soap or whatever, they don't divide. And that's because I'm very intentional about what I give my clients. I try different people to make sure that what I'm mixing together are compatible. So let's not overflog this matter. Selecting your wick. The wick is crucial for a candle's performance because it is the wick that you use to um is the wick that you use to make your fragrance go around the room, for it to scent. What's ringing? So types of wick, we have cotton wick. I brought We have cotton wick here. I didn't bring this anyway. We have cotton wick. So those provide clean burn and are versatile. We have wooden wick. So let me bring it here like this so everybody can see. We have wooden wick. So this is a wooden wick. This is a wooden wick. Wooden wick comes in different sizes and provide like a crackling sound. No, you cannot. I'm using it as video. Then we have, please, can you bring this other stuff? So I can show my stuff. Yeah, bring them. No, bring this one. Okay, because I was rushing. I don't know why I put the other hems with. Those ones come like rolls. So you can use them for your sculptural candle, or you can use them anyhow. So they come as eco wicks. These are eco wicks. So these are wicks. When you call them eco wicks, they are prefabbed rather. Eco wicks are the wicks that are not cotton. They are a different type of wick. So they mix it with different types of fiber, and it burns clean. I use Eco Wick for my candles, and sometimes if a client wants cotton wick, I get cotton wicks for them. But cotton wicks are more expensive than Eco Wicks. The same way, wooden wicks are more expensive than cotton and extra expensive than Eco Wicks. Pre-tabbed wicks are the ones that come in a tab and are already sealed with wax. So they are hard. They are not soft. Elijah Kitty. So factors for choosing wick. We have candle diameter. So this type of candle, see how big it is. And then let me show you the um this type of wick. Yeah. So if we say that we want to use this particular one, I don't know if you can still see my screen on. If you want to get this particular one, you determine that, okay, this size, would it burn evenly? It might burn too much because it is really big. So that means you need to get half this wick so that it can go. The diameter of your candle jar or the particular candle that you're using determines the kind of wick size you are going to use. Then the wax type. If you're using paraffin, or you're using hard soil, or you're using soy wax, it's totally different because some wicks work better. For example, wooden wick works better with soy wax, coconut wax, beeswax, all those kind of stuff. It's better for it. While pre-tabbed, cotton wick, all those ones work for paraffin and the rest. So fragrance and essential oils. You have different types of fragrance options for your candle. Either you have synthetic fragrance oils, or you use essential oils. Fragrance oils are systemically made. System, my tongue is biting. Sorry, but you know what I mean. Yeah, let me zoom in so you see what I mean. Okay. So they offer a wide range of scents. So you see where I was saying that I when I make mango scents, scented candles, or I make maybe orange scented candles. Even orange can be found in essential oil. But if I say oud, for example, now is not an essential oil. It's a fragrance oil. So they are more stable and consistent in candles. Essential oils are natural and therapeutic. They require precise handling to avoid scent loss during pour. So, in fact, all oils need systematic um, handling when you are pouring, because you know that fragrance is an oil and it evaporates. If your wax is too hot, it's going to evaporate. So even when it cools, it doesn't cool with any wax, with any fragrance. So when you burn your candle, you will not smell anything. So it says how to select oils. Ensure the oils are candle safe. We have most of the vendors that we have here in Nigeria buy from people abroad, and they kind of like say, okay, this is good for soap, this is good for diffuser alone, this you can use for bathing soap. This, do you understand? People have different ways and they will say those, but there are also some vendors that will not tell you anything. um they will just tell you fragrance oil. In fact, sometimes they'll call it perfume and say they don't know what you want to use, and they'll just, however, so that's where you now start use testing. So that's where testing is very important, so you know which one works for your product. So we have candle dyes. So we have liquid dyes and dye chips, and then natural dyes. So these are dye chips. Let me show you. So this is it. See how it looks purple, but once it's in the wax, it will be pink. So I told you that sometimes, even with soap and also candles, they may have a different outer coating. And then this is liquid. This ones, I don't use this often because a drop, even if you pour plenty, if they say that it is if it is baby pink, if you like pour all the contents, now that's baby pink you go collect. And sometimes you now end up seeing the color under your wax container. So I prefer the dyes because I know that a little goes a long way, and I can monitor how deep the color can be. But these ones, it doesn't work like that for me. It could also be the type of the person I'm buying it from. Like I said, different vendors, different manufacturers. So if you buy from plenty vendors and manufacturers, you can then see, okay, this particular manufacturer does this better, this particular manufacturer does this better. And then you just know, okay, if I want very deep color, this is where I'm going to get deep color for this shade. This is where I'm going to get light color for this shade. All these things, you just need to test. Then natural dyes can be derived from plants and natural or materials for a subtle look. So tips, always use candle safe dyes. Mix colors to create unique shade. So they haven't still brought light, but I'll just close this now and let us go to. Okay, so the next step The next step is to show you different containers. Oh, I've scattered this thing. So your wax needs to be melted. We have different types of wax. Now I mentioned that. Let me show you what I have here. So this is my beeswax. Are you seeing? This is my beeswax. They come in pallets. We call this one's pallets. So they come in pallets like this. And when you melt them, they are very hard. Sometimes they will come colored. When you melt them, they will have a yellow look. And that's because I'm in Nigeria and sometimes small dust will just happen, or it's just the change in the environment. So you never can tell what can um cause your candle to change color. So if you want your candle to be white, you have to buy white dye so that you know that when you pour, it's exactly white you will get. Don't leave it to chance. You say, oh, because the beeswax is white, it will come out white. No. Once you put your color, sometimes your fragrance oil or your essential oil can come in like a off yellow or even deep brown. For most of us that use oud, oud comes in like a brown shade. By the time you pour it inside your wax, it's automatically brown if you're not using color. So you see in my pot now, it looks white in the picture, but it's not white. So then this is a melting pot. This is a melting pot. But when I started, I was using a cooking pot to melt my, and I still keep it so that my students don't feel, oh, madam has a melting pot. I must wait till I have melting pot before I start my own business. No, I show them that even me, I started with melting pot. That is my cooking pot. I just bought a pot. I said that this one is only for wax. So that's it. So the next that we need in our production is is temperature measurements. You're blocking my son, please. So I use this. You see that heat has caused it to come out, but it's still functional. So I put it in my jar when I want to make sure that it's the right temperature to pour. So let us note that when our wax melts, your the waxing the melting temperature for your wax, it is not even should, it is different. The video is still on. Oh yeah, you can go your off the list. Just hold on. I'm still sharing my screen. I want to correct that. How can I correct this thing now? Okay, thank you. Okay, that is done. Okay. So madam is back and she's taken her device. So we're back to using mine. Okay. Mm. Okay, anyhow. So you can see what I'm showing you. So you have to make sure that your wax is at a certain temperature. Um, let me show you. Let me show you another. Excuse me. Let me share my screen again. Show you. Okay. So these are the steps. So you need a heat resistant cover, or rather, this is a container, which is going to be where you will pour your fragrance. So as I was talking about melting the wax, so there are different ways of melting your wax. You can either use the double boiler, which is that you put water in a container, put your wax in another container, and put that container inside that water that is on fire so that it boils, meaning that the wax is not in direct contact with the heat. That's the double boiler method. Another method is straight up burning. So you like the pot that I showed you, that's what I use for straight up burning. But when I'm using my gel wax, I don't use straight up burning. I do boiler method because one, gel wax is not easy to clean. So I don't want to spoil my pot to be washing it every time. Since I use it for only wax, it's just there for wax. And then second, I don't want it to have residue of wax. So I have a particular container that I do double boiler method for gel wax. And gel wax doesn't burn at the same temperature as regular wax. It's a different type of material. So their burning temperatures are different. So you have to use the know how you want to melt your wax. Then prepare your workspace. The workspace that I showed you when it was a bit scattered when I was doing the soap is because um, I washed my materials after an order, so they're on that table, and I have another order that those materials are there, so that I know that I'll just pick it and use. But after that, especially for candle, any dust can create a hazard. So if you're in a dusty environment, you need to clean, make sure that that place is neat. You know, have a certain place where you use or where you produce your material, so that you're not looking for things anyhow. Someone will not mistakenly pour wax, and wax, the melting point for wax is very hot. Wax melts between um 160 Fahrenheit to 250, depending on the wax. And even 150 is hot. Talk less of 160 to 120 or talk less of 200, 250. So you need to make sure that your environment is safe from children, pets, and everything. I had a former student of mine. She had two cats. She complained to me that when she finished working, she's always seeing cat hair. I say you have to make a choice. Either you move your workstation or you create a space where your cats will not come in, because you cannot expect that a client to pay you for something and they are seeing cat hair. Nobody will be happy, even if they like cats. You don't want to see your own cat hair. It's their own that they like, not your own. So you have to make sure that you are very neat and your environment is neat. Um, so let me list the steps because there's no light now. I cannot show it to you. Let me list the steps. I think I have a video. I'll confirm. Let me list the steps. So step one, prepare your workspace. Step two, melt your wax. We already know it's either you use double boiler or you do straight or you use a melting pot. Step three, pour your wax. Although for me, step three, I said add fragrance oil. No, step three should be pour your wax into your mixing bowl. The assumption here is that you have melted a large pool, a large wax. Like you saw the one that was in my wax, my melting pot. It's plenty. So if I have like an order to produce 20 bottles, I may not do 20 at once. I may do 4 each, 5 each. Or if I'm supposed to do 200, I may do 10 per time. So I'll have to first of all pour it in a jar where I'll put the oil and everything before I now transfer it to the bottles, the containers, or the bulbs that are going to hold that candle when I'm done. So after you melt your wax, you check the temperature. It's hot enough, it has melted. And please also ensure that your wax is completely melted. So you cannot say that, oh, it's just small that is remaining. Sometimes wax can look like ori. I don't know, shea butter, when you're melting shea butter. I know that some people shea butter is like not on, still light. And some people one is solidified. I don't know how that happens. But if you're melting shea butter, it all doesn't melt at once. You still see some lumps. The same thing with wax. Make sure there's no lump, nothing. It has to be clear. And when this is clear, it looks like either kerosene or water, depending on the container that you're using. It has a thick consistency, sha. It's a bit thick. If you move it around, it will splash, crack, crack, crack. But it looks like water. So make sure it has fully dissolved, melted. So now check the temperature off the fire, off whatever, and then when you are sure that it is okay to you can now put your things inside your embeds, then you can now start doing them. So you can now decide to then put your color. So these are my steps. When I check it, I put my color. Because if I'm using liquid, I don't really need to do that. But if I'm using um, wax color, the petals, I need to make sure that it has also melted because I don't want it to have any lumps inside my candle. So I put it when it is hot like that, so it melts with the wax while it is trying to cool down to the right temperature. You understand? So when it has gotten to that temperature, so when I'm pouring it to my container, I pour it to my container around 180 Fahrenheit, 180, 170 Fahrenheit. I pour it to my container. That's my mixing bowl or my mixing cup to ensure that it's the right millimeter that I want. So if all the jars that I'm doing is 100 ml or it is 200 ml, my cup is 200 ml. Or if I'm doing 5 bottles and 5 containers and it is 5 containers for 200 ml will be 1,000. I will make sure that it is 1 liter that I'm pouring. So once I've done 1 liter, I check the temperature. I pour it from my melting pot or from my pot into my mixing bowl at either 170 to 180. Once that is there, I know that I cannot pour at one, but I still have plenty things to do before I pour it into my jar. Remember that that's the next point, but we have steps before we pour it in there. So once I do that, I stir. Either I put the color or I put I've told you different types of color. So I keep stirring. I wait for it to cool because the time I want to pour into my container is 140 to 160. I actually pour between 150 to 155 because I don't like when it has there's this what's the name frosty look that it has. So if I don't do that, Nigeria is already hot as it is. I don't. So because through testing, I realized that because of the way Nigeria heat is, I don't want to do like that. But if you watch people that are abroad, that are in cold climates, you have to preheat your container. And how do you preheat your container? You you heat it up with a heat gun. When I first started, I used to use hair dryer. So I'm telling you how I started so that everybody knows that you can start with what you have. You start with what you have in your house. Or if you have oven, you set your oven to maybe 100 Fahrenheit, and then you just put those jars 2 minutes max 2 minutes. They would have gotten a bit hot. You bring it out and set it on your counter where you're going to pour. You understand? And then either you use your heat, your temperature gun to just check that okay, these pots or these jars, they are the right temperature before you pour. So all these things need to be done. Then your wick, you need to make sure that your wick is inside your jar. I remember when I first started, I had done everything right. I forgot wick. So I poured all my I poured my wax inside my container, only to realize I did not put wick inside. Thinking back now, what I would have done is I would have just waited for it to solidify a bit, and I'll just put my wick inside, and that's all. I would have still gotten a perfect candle, you know. But we learn as we grow, we will learn. So where was I? I was talking about making sure that your wax is a certain temperature. Then when you want to put your fragrance, you have to make sure that you put your fragrance at 150, 155 to 160. Why we are saying you don't put it too hot is because you should leave it now. Is because making it too hot, the fragrance will evaporate because it's oil. It will evaporate. When you heat oil, you see that it's smoke and then the oil has fragrance in it. So the fragrance will leave that particular oil. If you pour it too cold, that's 140 to 130 to 140, it will not mix because it is too cold, and then it will force your wax to get cold too. Because by putting your wax at 150, by putting the fragrance oil at 150, 155, you have automatically made your wax cold because it's not the same temperature that your oil is as your wax. So you've made it cold, making it fast. It will the coolness of the wax will now drop, or the heat of the wax will now drop because you've added fragrance to it, a cold fragrance. They are not the same temperature. And then when you want to, you don't just pour your fragrance and call it a day. No, you need to mix, and you have to mix for approximately, rule of thumb, 2 minutes, 120 counts. So 2 minutes is 120 counts. That's because when you count 60 is 1 minute. 60 plus 60 is 120. So you mix it. That's the rule of thumb. There's no scientific um, case for this one. But every candle maker either does between 120 and above. But mixing it too much may introduce bubble. So you need to also be careful so you don't introduce too much bubble into your candle. You see that everything needs step by step. So you've already added color, you've already prepared your container, and then you now pour your wax slowly. So some people, when they are using wooden wax, they pour the wax on the wood so that the wood will have some of the wax and fragrance in it so that it will pour. I see no difference. Either you pour it on top, you don't pour it on top, it will still burn because that's the fire for your candle. So once you put it on, it will burn appropriately. Um, then you set it aside. Make sure that you put it in a cool, dry place. Don't cover your fragrance. Don't cover your candle when it's still wet, when it's still in liquid form, because that you stop you stop the heat from coming out, and then when the heat is trapped inside the jar, it may shatter. That's if you're using a glass bottle. But if you're using tin, it also happens. I've never tried it because I've been warned and I don't want to test it. Container is expensive in Nigeria. I'm not going to test that one. They told me that it will shatter. I believe them. But if you want to try your own, you can try. But me, I believe there's no need. I cannot go and be buying new glass and say because I wanted to test something to see whether what they say is true. I believe. So you need to make sure your candle cures. Curing a candle takes from 1 week to 2 weeks. In Nigeria here, like I said, customers that want everything sharp, sharp. So I tell them 3 days, but I know that sometimes when people buy candles from me, they don't use it at once. They usually buy it for festivities. So they want it down, then they will not give to the people. People that collect it as gifts, because we're in Nigeria, they won't light it that same day. They just look at it, admire, because I'm proud to say my candles are always very beautiful. The smells are always nice. I had someone tell me that because of the way the candle smells so nice, she didn't buy air freshener in her car. She just went put the candle there, and every time she opens her car, she's always happy. I told her burn it though, because as the heat is touching the candle, the cold throw is leaving, and when you light it, it may not burn the way it's supposed to, you know. But I know that sometimes people don't use it immediately, but you're supposed to let it cure at least um 40, 72 to 40, 48 to 72 hours, so that the mixture will bind. Because you know that the same way with soap, you have added different things. The color is a foreign object inside the wax. The fragrance is a foreign object inside the wax. The wick is also a foreign object inside the wax. So for it to bind and be able to work together as one, you need to give it time. And time cannot be fast tracked. I've not seen where we can fast track the binding process of these productions that we have. So you need to give it time. So in the climb that we are in, 48 to 72 hours max. That's 3 to 4 days. Is that the max? 2 to 3 days, yes. And then you can then sell it out, you know. And sometimes when I don't see like that, I just want the person that is buying and say, oh, please don't light it yet. Wait till maybe if they get it on a Wednesday, I say wait till Saturday to light it, or wait till next week Wednesday to light it. At least you have it in your hand. It's not as if it's been made that you're saying, when will you send my product? I've done it in your hand, but let it bind. I don't tell them it's for you to bind, though. I just say that the candle needs time for it to smell well. You say it's smelling well already now. I say no, leave it so that it will bind well. So see how long should a candle cure for? Soy to coconut wax, 1 to 2 weeks for the best central. Have you seen? Oyibo that did the candle said that it's 1 to 2 weeks. But we with our own, we understand our climb. And this is the situation that we find ourselves in, that sometimes people just want their items back to back. And the reason why, or if you want to produce in large quantities, you can actually follow this and just limit and tell your customers, you have to wait. Just the same way when we are doing a bar soap, if I make the bar soap today, it will not be ready till the next 4 months. Why? Because it needs to cure. This one, I can't even send it to you and trust that you will not use it. I will leave it. So I will not advertise that I have that soap until the cure time has come and gone. Do you understand? So, but for certain candles, people use it for gifts. So we have to do that. And that's the process for my own business. I make it as you pay. I don't keep it down for you because we try to make sure that clients enjoy different varieties of fragrance. So we are not limiting your choice of fragrance. We say that you can have a wide range, and because you need to have a wide range, you can only have it as demanded, on demand, not in stock. So let's move. Tips for a successful candle making: use high quality. We've spoken about that. Maintain accurate temperatures. Overheating can damage fragrance oil. I spoke about you making sure that you pour at the right temperature. And depending on where you are, so if someone that is in Jos, but you're in Nigeria, you're in Jos. Jos is a lot cooler than where I am in Nigeria. So the person in Jos has to do a lot of testing also, not just take my word for it, and know what works for their own climate. The same way with someone that is in the north, which is a lot hotter than Lagos. I hope so, because this Lagos is not, this heat is, I want to believe that it's not only me that's suffering like this. But I know that usually the north is usually hot, and it will not be the same because it might be hotter than where I am. So even this heat is the first time I'm experiencing this kind of heat. When I want to make my candles, I have to also note that it's a different way I'll do it. I have to test and say, this temperature, will it work for this particular one? Should I use tin instead? Should I just use sculptural candles alone? Do you understand? These are very important questions you need to ask. Then troubleshooting: uneven burn, adjust weight. So if you finish your candle and then you realize that the candle is only burning at one side, it might be a problem of wick. If you see that the scent is not going around the going around the space, two things can be wrong. Either the fragrance load is weak. So before I go fast, fragrance load should be between 10 to 20% of your of your wax. So if you're pouring 200 ml, what is 10% of 200? That's 20. Do you understand? 10% is best. That's recommended. But if you want to go higher, you can do 15 to 20. I don't recommend 20. 10 is the best. Or you can go lower depending on if your candle, the fragrance scent is very strong. You can reduce it. But my own advice, recommendation is 10%. So if you're doing 1,000 ml, you do 100 ml of fragrance oil or essential oil. So frosting in candles. This one happens with people that are in a cooler climate. So like I said, you minimize temperature changes during cooling. So what you can do is preheat your jars, or you make sure that your environment is stable, meaning that you either use humidifiers or all those things to make sure that you have an even controlled temperature in your workspace. So bonus: packaging, branding, scaling. So in conclusion, candle making combines creativity, science, that allows you to create products that bring joy and realizations to people's lives. Whether it's for personal enjoyment or business, mastering the techniques and experimenting with scents and colors ensures that your candles stand out. Remember to enjoy the process and make your creativity shine. Why I'm saying that you need to enjoy the process, because it can be very frustrating how you would buy these materials and then they don't come out the way you thought, because you're still learning. Your hand is not yet strong. So you have to just see that, okay, I'm enjoying the process. Oh, this particular candle did not come out the way it's, but I'm happy that I know now. So that's the way to enjoy the process, because if you are hard on yourself, you will not enjoy it. And this kind of skill needs to be enjoyed. It's not like you force yourself to do it. So with that, I would stop sharing and show you different types of jars that we have. So we have this tin jar. This is a 75 ml because I will not fill it to the top. It's actually 100, but I won't fill it to the top because of the way the cover is, so that my clients can be able to cover it. So it's a 75 to 90 ml, depending on how I want to pour. Then we have this smaller one. This is a glass jar. This is the one I say that you can preheat in your oven. You can preheat with your hair dryer, so that to make sure that the temperature of the wax coming into it will be the same, so that they can cool together and you will not have frosting on the body. Then it's another big one. It's another big jar. It's also a tin. Then this is a big glass one. This one I usually use it for dessert candles. Then this is this is a candle that I've done. This one is wood. The base scent is wood and has some, this is for male. So it's a bit strong. And when it smells very nice. So, and as you can see, I didn't color it and it looks creamy because the scented candle that is inside. I say scented candle. The fragrance that is inside. And I also use soy wax for it. Then another thing that I wanted to add, looking at this now, I remembered, is that sometimes your candle may not cure with a flat top. What you can do to correct this is to heat the top. So when you heat it, it will pull again, and then you leave it. It will finish nicely like this. I don't have one that I don't have one like that. I don't have one. Do you have any questions, everyone? Thank you for having me. Do you have any questions? One more thing to show while we are thinking about our question is when we are putting our wick. So this is, I know that I mentioned the wick holder. So when you put your wick inside. Where is that example? So you come, you put the NEPA did not try. I would have shown you guys. You put your wick inside, yes. And then when it's inside here, you can use this thing to stabilize it so that it will stand and it will be in the center. Because you know that the wax that is inside your jar will be like water. So it's not going to be hard like the way this one was hard. So that's what you use to centralize it. So we have metal like this, and we also have wood. Whatever works for you, you should start with that. And as you grow, in the craft, you now get more supplies. So do we have any questions? Sorry, when I'm talking about my business, I always go fast thinking that I'll be explaining and explaining. Do we have any questions? I know I'm not the only one here. Do we have any questions? Mr. Jasper, do we have any questions? Madam Alima, do we have any questions? Madam Elizabeth, do we have any questions? No. Okay, so in the absence of any question, Pastor, I'm done, sir.
Hello, ma. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma. Thank you so much for the lesson. So, ma, it's just a request, ma. Can you kindly help send the what's it called? I can see that you're showing us a video, the video and the steps by steps that you showed earlier. Can you help us send it to the group so that we can as well go all over it again? Thank you so much, ma.
So the slide that I worked with and the video are for my paid class. So that's why I cannot share with you. I'm just playing it so that anything that I miss. So I'm showing you the wooden wick holder.
Okay, so for the slides, that means it can't be sent, she?
No, ma.
Okay,
It's for
maybe
the
we should
paid
just
class,
help
ma.
us bring it back so that I can quickly screenshot it then if you can't send it.
I say it's for the paid class, ma.
Ma?
It's for the paid class, ma. Yes, ma. So so I'm just showing what am I saying? I'm just showing the items that we spoke about in a more calm way. But I realized that the video that because there's no light, it was dark. So that's why I'm playing it for us here so that we can see it. You understand? So let's just please watch it until pastor comes so that we'll just get the information to just add to what I said.